Well, we're here today with author Maria Shriver, whose brand new book, Just Who Will You Be, is flying off border shelves. It's doing so well. It's so perfectly timed around the graduation season and the spring season and renewal. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for, I like this little sanctuary you've got going on. I like the book. So
Yeah.
like
Well, the book is beautiful. It's blue. It's so eye-catching, and we talked about this briefly. But it's one of those books that in a store, it just cuts through all that noise of all those other books and everything, and just grabs your eye.
That's hard to do because there's like so many books coming out every single week. But I've always loved balloons, and I think all of us want to soar in our lives.
Absolutely.
And all of us like the freedom, I think, of a balloon and the idea that who we are is separate from the crowd. And so that's why on the back of the book there's a whole multitude of balloons of a picture that was taken of me when I was a young girl. And so I wanted to put one singular balloon on the front and make people think about that. And it also says, you know, big question, little book, answer within.
It's a lovely symbol. But it's a little book. It has a very big message, and it's obviously a journey you've been taking for quite some time. The first step in writing this book was obviously making a decision to share with all the readers out there what you were going through, which was personal and was something that was really a difficult journey for you to a large degree.
Well, it's a journey that I'm still on, and I'm grateful actually to be a work in progress. I always thought when I was a young girl, when I would be my age, I'd be like formed and done and cooked, as my daughter says in the book. And it's a surprise to me that I'm still evolving, that I'm still unclear about where I see myself in 5 years, where I see myself in 10 years. And I used to be really terrified of that, or think that there was something wrong, or think that I was the only one who didn't know where I wanted to be in 5 years, or why wasn't I happy with exactly where I was. And in writing this book, what I've discovered is that there are millions of people out there like me. It's one of those things where you all of a sudden you write and you start talking about it, and everybody comes up and goes, me too, me too. It's like this big secret that we're all on a journey and that we're all works in progress, and but there's no label for that, so to speak. So it's been a very freeing thing for me as well.
The book itself, the centerpiece is this poem that you wrote for a high school graduation. It was something that you were asked to do, and you approached somewhat nervously and dove in and wrote this awesome poem. And there's a lot of inspiration in that poem, but the book is bookended to some degree by your own discoveries and your own revelations as you went through this whole process.
Exactly. I mean, I wrote the poem and the whole speech for a high school graduation because my nephew asked me to be the commencement address. And I start out saying I wasn't sure, did they want the old me, which was a journalist? Did they want me to come as the First Lady of California? Did they want me to talk about being a Kennedy, about being a Shriver, about being Arnold's wife? I wasn't clear who I was. And so I kind of tried to touch on all of those things, and then I started to think, well, actually young people are so obsessed with becoming famous, so I wrote this poem about being famous. But then after I had given the speech, a lot of parents came up to me and said, you know, can I get a copy of that? I need to talk about that. And then I went back to LA kind of pleased with my little speech, and a friend of mine said, you know, you're still trying to perform for other people. You're still wondering what they expect. You're still trying to feed what you think is the monster out there. It's about time that you started kind of asking yourself who you are and then appearing as to who you want to be, not trying to deliver a First Lady, a Kennedy, a Shriver, an Arnold's wife, not delivering somebody because you think that's who they want to see. And it was really like a, you know, kind of a hit back at me, and but a valid one. And so then I started thinking more and more about why I had written that speech, what was I really doing with my entire life. I was struggling in the First Lady role, which was not a role that I had, you know, had in my 5-10 year plan, or any life plan for that matter. And I thought it was a really valid criticism of myself.